Welcome. Welcome to the Law, Your Money, and You. I'm Roberta Saphire, an attorney in Sharon, Massachusetts, and
I'm Camille Barron, a healthcare advisor and financial coordinator, also in Sharon, Massachusetts. And today we have another guest who's here for an encore. Want to introduce our guest, Roberta?
I would be so thrilled and proud. This is Mike Wilbur. I don't know how else to say it, but he's very special, and he's very successful every day. No matter what he does, he puts everything into it. We don't even need you here. I can just talk about you.
Perfect. This works great.
But anyway, Mike, just give us a little background how we got to this point, and then we'll really get on into it because it's really fascinating, exciting, stimulating, every other word.
Surely. So I spent a long time after my undergraduate in college just working in television production, and it's a freelance field out there. So it's a lot of hopping TV show to TV show. And I ended up getting very lucky, and I got a contract position on a single show with the Wilburs. And it gave me a big step into the production field. It gave me movies, TVs from that. And then it gave me an insight into what life there would be like. And it had a ceiling, which was, you can have this really cool title. You can have some comfortable money, but you will never have a home. It's going to be really hard to have a family. And there are other ways that you can work in this industry and still be successful. And so just through, luckily, the Wilburs and their influence and meeting people there, found out that being an attorney, an agent, something to do with the legal field, is a way that you can work in television and be successful, but you can also have a life. You can have a home and a family and branch out and do other things.
So you went to law school.
So I went to law school, graduated virtually this May, which was interesting.
Yeah, we just had you on. Had you on. But at that time, you were ending up with the courses, the virtual courses.
Right.
Camille, the virtual courses.
Yeah.
He hadn't taken the bar. You didn't know when the bar exam was. I think they canceled it.
Right. And I only, in the past 2 weeks, there's been a little bit of settling on what that front looks like. But even still, that's been up in the air due to 23 states went and they did in-person exams this past week. And it didn't really go so well.
In-person exams? You mean each person, they explain that?
So 23 states refused to make any kind of accommodation for the bar exam. Their rationale was that it's a safekeeping for the public, that any attorney that takes the exam, it shows that they're competent to practice law by passing it. And so many states, like South Carolina is a big one, did so against the state's COVID guidance, against their gathering limits, against their spatial limits and things like that, under the idea that they're a government body who's exempt from such regulations.
They had a big auditorium filled with people taking exams?
Yeah, some were 500, some were 700 people, all sitting in a big auditorium for the exam for 6 hours, 2 days straight.
Right. I bet they all showed up too.
Yep, but they didn't really get much of an option. Most places that did that are like Massachusetts, and Massachusetts is a kind of a unique bar situation where you don't apply for the bar exam. You do a court filing with the actual state, and you say, I, Michael Wilbur, am petitioning the state to allow me to take the bar exam to be an attorney. And so the rationale there is you're paying a court fee, not an application fee, and we can't refund court fees. So at that point in time, the kids are kind of stuck of show up and take the test, or you're out.
So
1,000 to 1,500.
The last when you were on, Massachusetts has canceled it. What are they doing now?
Right. They're one of the better options, luckily. And they decided to go to October 5th and 6th. They'll do an online remote exam that's half of the normal exam. So it'll be, instead of 200 questions, you get 100 questions. Instead of 6 essays, 3 essays. And the benefit of it is, it's safe. You're going to get to be a practicing attorney by passing. The downside is it's not transferable many places. So by passing Massachusetts normally, I could get 35 states I could work in. Now with this remote test, I'll have about 7 or 8.
What are they? What are they? Because I know you went to Roger Williams. That's Rhode Island.
Right. And surprisingly, Rhode Island is not in them. Rhode Island is currently saying we are going to do an in-person exam in September, and no less, they've scheduled character and fitness interviews in person in 2 weeks. So they're a very scary, weird situation in Rhode Island. And Massachusetts, I'll get reciprocity with New Hampshire, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Tennessee, and potentially some other places. Anywhere else that will go online.
What about Rhode
And then with
Island?
Rhode Island, only if they'll go online. That would be the only chance they'll do that. Their reason that they're saying they'll do in person is they believe they have about 100 or so applicants to sit, and they think they can safely sit 100 applicants in September, which it seems like lunacy to me, but that's
Is that less than the normal or more than the normal applicants? It seems small, doesn't it?
right around for Rhode Island. They're a small body because they don't really have a board of bar examiners like other states. The state Supreme Court is in charge of administering the bar exam, and they're very gatekeeping with it. They're protective of having a high score, very protective of their character and fitness, which is why they're doing the in-person things and making it a requirement. So the only rationale I can come up with is that, hey, this is business as normal. We don't think 130 to 50 people is that large, and we're going to push forward.
How about other states where you see your career taking you? If you, for instance, in the television or even movie industry,
Right.
New York, California.
So New York is right in line with Massachusetts. They went to the online exam, and they haven't announced any reciprocity yet because it's all individual state agreements for it. But it's very likely, given that they're using the same materials, they would be bundled in with the Massachusetts.
Yeah.
California is also online. And the benefit there is I had applied to both exams and gotten accepted to sit for both California and Mass.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, they were a month apart. So I thought, this is great. You know, that what a unique circumstance. I can actually take both bars at once and be practicing in both of the places that I really want to be. And now that doesn't work that they're both online, but California has given a privilege to work so long as you graduated from an ABA accredited school, and so long as you take the California exam before July 1st, 2021, I believe it, 2022, sorry. So I can practice in California if I got a job right away, just by having my diploma. And as long as I take that exam within the next 2 years, then I'll be fully barred there. So it's a huge advantage.
You know, my daughter and son-in-law, they're practicing in Arizona, and I remember when a fellow came to them from California, he passed the bar in California, but Arizona didn't recognize it.
Right. California has a very special
now?
bar. They are doing, so the 5th and 6th online exam was because there's a big company that makes all the multiple choice questions called the National Conference of Bar Examiners. And initially they said, an online bar exam is not safe. We refuse to give you any of the questions. If states want to do it, that's fine. We're out of it. We're not giving you anything. And so many states said, all right, well, that's fine. You guys can kick rocks then, and we'll do that. That they panicked. And they said, well, fine. If you guys want to go online, we'll make questions for the 5th and the 6th. So the states that have gone online have done that, except for California, because California always has made their own exam, except for the multiple choice. So what they've decided is that. So California is only taking those multiple choice and still making their own essays. So they're still doing it.
I mean, interrupting. I've always found that multiple choice is not fair, because they could say, well, the sun comes up on a such and such a day, you know, just something like that. Well, it could, but yet you could have the argument, because that's the beauty of the law essay questions.
Exactly.
You take both sides and you argue it. Doesn't matter if you know the answer. You just, it's your argument.
That's always been my viewpoint. And And especially when you're working with clients, it's not always a one slice of bread's the same. You know, everybody is literally different, and every situation has a nuance. So the essay, you're right, is an amazing tool because it allows you to put in those nuances. It allows you to say things that are unsaid. The amount of times I can write a paragraph in an essay of, well, you know, it's not said here, but if this was the situation, this could change everything for this person. In a multiple choice question, a lot of the times you narrow it down to, you know what? Yeah, the answer is in the affirmative. It's yes. But is the rationale what I believe it is, or what somebody I've never met thinks it is?
It's
Yeah,
probably worse for insurance, isn't it, Camille? The insurance, the exams for insurance. That would seem worse if they give multiple choice.
well, you know, the thing about that, insurance, I've taken the insurance certification exams and also the project management certifications. I found, I think you're kind of pointing to this, the multiple choice in a way is more difficult because I found this especially with the project management one.
What is project management? I don't remember.
Well, you know, you manage, you know, projects like, you know, I'll say building a house, but that's just an example where you have to identify all the different steps that have to be taken, how long they're going to take, who's going to do them.
I was worse than the bar exam.
Well, you know, the thing is, with project management, in many cases, it's not just black and white. And I remember there was a question that was more about judgment and had some management. You know, it was kind of using a judgment as a manager, and yet the answers were very clear-cut, black and white. So I gave my response thinking as a manager, right? Because I was a manager when I was taking the exam, not just a project manager. And it was deemed wrong because it wasn't the textbook answer. And see, I think what you're saying is textbook answers really are limiting, and essays are not, because you can make your point and rationale for making that.
Well, you
Very
know,
much so.
yeah, another thing is laws are different in different states on the same thing. So how do they balance that in these bar exams?
They tend to go with it's a twofold that they work with. They'll either tell you that a lot of it will be common law, and they'll tell you that it'll be the majority rule, or they'll tell you it's a minority rule, so that they'll make you learn both areas of what kind of like the thrust of the center of whatever the law would be, and then work based off of those. So it's even more saying you're not testing competency, because you're testing a very limited set of things. It's like, well, you know, what if somebody wants to just work family law? Why do they then need to tell you to work?
Have you taken exams now? So you've taken some exams now, or you're getting ready to take exams?
Getting ready. I spend about at least 6 hours a day doing lectures, essays, multiple choice tests, things like that, and then grading them. All that.
Other than that, because I don't want to use it for all that time. It goes so fast. What have you been doing? I know you're a worker and you keep moving. So what have you been doing? What kind of work, and where and what and when, besides going fishing?
I'm a terrible fisher. I never caught anything. Lots of keeping in touch with other friends from school or other people that I know are prepping for the exam, because there's not really much work to be doing while I'm prepping for the test. And so a lot of it is seeing how my friends are doing, and seeing not just how they're doing for the tests, but how they're doing, you know, being locked in. Rhode Island, where I am now, we're having really bad numbers COVID-wise, like going back up and things like that. And so every single weekend when people start going out, it's, you know, one of those things of like, hey, check in with your friends. What are your friends doing? Like make sure your friends are okay. Make sure, you know, nobody's at home just, you know, wallowing in themselves like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. It's work has kind of become, without a goal-oriented work, a more socially, like, make sure all my friends are doing well, make sure if they're studying for the bar, like, we're all on the same page, nobody be left behind, kind of a thing.
Weren't you working with some law office too?
Yeah, I was working in-house for a small little retailer here, and we furloughed mostly everybody towards the end of April. And the company is doing okay. I think the company's not going to go out of business or anything. But given all the numbers and everything in Rhode Island with all of it, it's still not safe for us to bring everybody back. And I'm gracious at least for it right now, because it allows me to dedicate time to the bar and not have to worry about, oh, okay, well, I got to stop studying now and spend 3 hours dealing with this lease or this contract and things. And it's nice to know that I will have somewhere to go come the end of all of this too. It's not a, great, you passed the test, now do another test and find out where somebody will hire you.
Oh, so you're already hired. You're
Yeah.
already hired. That's good. But you were talking about going to California too?
Right. It's I have a lot of friends still from either my TV shows or from film work things who started their own projects, started a company working on this, and you don't really have any kind of exposure to law in the film industry. You don't know what employment laws are, and a lot of it's a 12-hour day. A lot of it's you're getting paid a flat rate. People don't know if they're not getting minimum wage. They don't know if labor laws are being broken and things like that. They don't know if they have their own company, how to set up a production. And so even when I was in school, they would be like, hey, do you know this? I'd be like, guys, I'm in school. I can't do this. Like, I can't help you. I'd be like, oh, okay, but when are you done? And so it's ever since I started knowing that there are these opportunities in California and no less friends that I can help out kind of a thing. That's my impetus to work out there, is to make it better for, the situations that I was in that I knew were probably not all that above board, as well as help out those people that have progressed and are now doing their own thing.
Interesting. I've heard that people are fleeing California.
TV production's still there, but a lot of it's
Yeah.
actually traveling. So there's still, if you're based in California and traveling, it's still California law for your production. It's still my bread and butter.
That's nice.
Yeah, really. Film too, or mostly TV that you're interested in?
No, film too. I love the idea of it. It's I like TV more because it's a longer term kind of belief, whereas films, sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's 3 months, and it's like, thank you for your work, I'll see you next time around the bend. Whereas TV, it can be years and years kind of a thing.
Yeah,
But both are great fun.
yeah.
Interesting. What are some of your classmates doing?
Some of them, one of them actually, he's been writing a lot of articles. It's like submitting them to either law reviews, journals, the ABA. He's been doing pretty well. He just got published by the ABA this week, and so he's very proud of that. One friend is running for a city council, and then most are just, they're hunkered down studying.
Yeah, this is a big election time now.
Yeah.
What's going on? Have you gone back to the school? Has anybody gone back to the school, or what are they?
No. So
doing?
my school is, thus far, they've been saying their plan is you have the option. If you feel comfortable, you're allowed to come back to the law school, and they'll have distancing requirements and things like that. But if you're not comfortable, every class will offer a remote option for you. I don't know if that's what they're doing for undergraduates too, but I know at least for the law school, they go with the same idea as the bar exam, that the minimal amount of people in one space they think they can contain.
What do they do for review for the bar? So that they used to have courses. Do they still have that?
Yeah.
And they tell you how to write. Do they still do things like that?
Yep, it's all remote. So I have 2 classes a week. There'll be about 4-hour sessions. And yeah, the 4 hours is a very long class.
How
But
do you stay focused for 4 hours?
you get a 10-minute break about every hour or so. And they keep you engaged. They give you a book, and you have to do fill in the blanks. You get problems to do from that. And when you're engaged in the bar enough, when you get a problem wrong, you're just so mad at yourself, you want to go back and do another problem. So it's almost self-policing, because if you're not doing well, you're like, no, this book will not beat me. I'm better than a book. You just keep on going back at it.
Now with the online learning, some of the other law school students that we've had on the show, one of the things that they said is you kind of miss the interaction that you would have in a classroom with others. Do you have an opportunity for that type of dialogue with the online learning?
Not as much so. And I've surprisingly found, and I've been telling a lot of kids that are going back this semester, that the one thing that kept me very accountable, and it's not comfortable for anybody, I understand and realize, was teleconferencing. By being on the phone and giving our professor, our phone numbers as kind of like our ID, it felt more of that accountability thing. Sure, like you don't have that visual there, but everybody knows how a phone works. Like phones very rarely drop out, and there's all the time in the Zoom where you can do that, like I got the glitch, sorry, I can't answer you kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas on the phone, that's not going to happen. You get called on the phone, your phone's not just going to mute you. Like you're going to have to interact. And so by putting that,
Hence the
sure, it's
service.
scary, but I was on call. I would know my stuff. I was ready for it because I knew I couldn't hide behind a screen. I couldn't fake anything there. And so I agree that, with the digital thing, it's very hard to engage with students. It's very hard to engage with your professor because there's that barrier. But there seem to be ways that it does work for certain people. And I guess that we're all just in a learning curve of figuring out what is that best way right now. For me, it was the phone. That was it.
I'm curious, do you have like groups that get together? Like that interaction, like Camille was talking about, the interaction with the other students, they're able to get together with groups and say, well, what are you going to do when you get out?
Yeah, very small, only about 3 or 4 of us. But one of my friends, that was his first step when we started prep, was he said, we all have different programs that we're using. Would it be possible if even we do a FaceTime once a week just to see where we're all at, how our learning's going, if your program's doing this, and, take something that you said, this guy gave me a mnemonic and it's working great for me. We try to do that once a week, the 3 or 4 of us. And it also motivates us too. If somebody doesn't do something one day, like, come on, dude, are you serious? What'd you do? Just sit on your couch all day? You're never going to pass doing that. And then you feel bad, and
what are they doing for income? I always wonder, what do people do for income?
I have wondered a lot of that. I know a couple of people did take bar loans before everything even fell down. Right. Some lenders would allow you to take out a loan until your bar exam with, lower, no interest rate kind of a thing.
Thanks.
I was lucky. Yeah. I was lucky that I got the furlough. So I had the unemployment until now, and I didn't really have anything to spend on. It was studying for the bar. So I saved smartly, and I can pay my bills through the end of the year, but just by saving things up. Right. I honestly don't know what most students are doing. And the more that exams get delayed till October and things, it's worrisome, I can imagine, because, well, how do you afford food, living expenses? Not everybody has a home that they can just go back to.
Yeah.
What do they do? What about ones that maybe had, anybody who had like internships coming up that were canceled?
I had a couple of friends who had them canceled, or who said, we'll open-ended, we'll let you come in if it changes, or, if you can do it during the semester, maybe. But I only know of one person who had a remote internship before everything started locking down and kept that. Most people I know that had them were either delayed until about now, or they were outright canceled.
Now, do you live at home?
No, I live by myself.
Oh, I remember when the last time you had just moved out.
Yes.
You live in Rhode Island?
Very hot, but nice. Yes.
What town?
Providence. I still love my Massachusetts. It's my home. I'm still a Mass resident, but for school and everything.
You were on the border there almost.
Right on the border. Yeah, I can sneeze and hit right into Massachusetts. That sneezing's probably not a good idea right now. That's
right. No sneezing. No sneezing.
Yeah.
Don't spread it any more than it has to.
No, dear God, no.
So when is your bar exam? Your first one, or?
I'll only get to take one. So I decided to take Massachusetts first and use the California provisional license until I can take that. So it'll be October 5th and 6th. I'll take my exam.
For California or for Massachusetts?
For Massachusetts.
Okay.
And then California, I'll either take in February or next July, or if I get a job, then I can start working right away in California.
Well,
now, are you still in school or not?
No, I'm completely done, thank God.
What was the graduation like?
We all made videos or slides. So I just busted out the old TV camera, sat in the backyard, and made a quick thank you to everybody and sent that on in.
Oh, and then did they publish it? All these?
Yeah. Then I did a quick slideshow and it was a YouTube live for everybody, and our valedictorian and dean gave speeches. That was all.
Did you get your
Very different.
Did you get your certificate in the mail?
Very quickly, yeah. But with less than a week, I had it, and I was like, oh, so I guess it is real. It's not fake. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I know. Isn't that the feeling you get? Oh, I really did. I better frame it before.
Still feel like an imposter. Still have no idea how I did it, but I did it, I guess.
I wonder if anybody ever gets a call and say, we sent you one by mistake. Send it back.
I'm not giving it back now. Sorry, your fault.
That's funny.
That would be quite the lawsuit.
Yeah, we're doing good on our time, and this is a good time to wrap up and talk about what we have in store for us. Camille, what do you think? Mike, you know about our police officers, our friends book. You never thought about criminal law, huh?
No, criminal law. I'm very fascinated actually by
Yeah.
working through it, and I do pretty well in the topic, but it's just not my bread and butter. I'm more intellectual property and property itself.
They should have defend the police, not defund the police. Have you had anything with the intellectual property? That's like internet and websites.
I've done a fair amount of it. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. And in fact, one of the kids that's in that group that I work with in the bar study stuff, we'll talk for hours sometimes about like things that pop up in the news. And hotels.com, recently we spent 3 hours on the phone talking about how Supreme Court said hotels.com is allowed to be a protectable entity because people know hotels.com is a specific website, not a generic website for hotels.
Oh yeah, the generic.
Right. So
Jason had something with like that. Somebody started copying him, and they tried to say it was generic. But like anything, you really try to work things out.
Yeah.
Well,
it's fascinating.
Intellectual property now in the international arena is huge. I mean, look at all of the things with other big countries like, stealing property. I think that's going to change. It's going to evolve dramatically now.
I'm fascinated by that too, because I love fashion and I love things that like look cool and sneakers and all that. And the idea of the amount of secondary market things that people just believe are fake. It's like, well, China's going to make it because it's a popular thing. And so you buy it when it's new or else you don't know if it's, I'm fascinated by that because it costs so much. People just don't go after it. Like, but you're losing money. You're losing your eye. It's a crazy subject.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember years ago, we were in Aruba or something, and somebody was opening up a Five Guys restaurant, and they said, well, we can because they don't have a franchise out here. Yeah.
It wouldn't really work that well in a court. I don't think that would go so well.
And then they went and they got it. I don't know. It's interesting. But Camille, you want to finish? And I know we don't want to finish. I just love talking with Michael. He's so fast.
I love talking with you guys.
Yeah.
How's our time now?
We got about 1 minute.
Okay. Michael, this is fascinating. And, it's quite interesting how we really have to admire people's flexibility and uncertainty now that we have, all of us in some different ways, but especially when you're in a position, you're in kind of a transitional mode, right? You've completed your education, now you need your credentials, and the rules don't apply anymore like they did.
What's interesting, he knows where he's going.
Yes.
He's planning on getting there, and my money is he will get there.
Oh, no
GPS
doubt.
just reroutes a bunch of times along the ride.
That's right, I love that.
That's all.
That's a great metaphor. GPS will reroute. As long as you're determined and you don't take your focus off that, you'll be hugely successful. So we want to thank you. It's so nice to see you again. We always have a great time when you're on, and we learn new things, and so will our viewers. So I ask our viewers to please let us know if you have any questions. We'll make sure to get them to Michael. And of course, as always, please let us know if you have any other topics specifically around the coronavirus, which is our focus right now, interviewing people on the different aspects and the effects of the coronavirus on all walks of life. So please stay in touch. And remember, this is your show, the law, your money, and you.
You.
And you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We're
Thank
ending-
you.
And we're ending. Let's hear from you.